So this is just a follow-up to this belt grinder video that I put up the other day. I've kind of got a little bit of an issue. I wondered if maybe somebody could give me some advice, or I'm not really sure. I just might mess around with it. So I've got this Norton 120 belt on here. So I just ordered some Blaze belts in way lower grit, like 36 and 60. So that's probably what I'm going to be using. I don't know if this belt is more flexible or not than those. But what I get is I get a harmonic going on right here, and this belt starts to vibrate rapidly. And when it's doing that, the tracking seems to wander a little bit if it's right in the center. So what I'll show you in a second. I just don't want to talk while I was running. It's kind of hard to hear. So when I get this running, and this harmonic is really critical. If I just barely push down on my tension and take a little bit of tension off, it goes away. And then when I release it, it starts to come. It's not necessarily there all the time, but you'll see it. And then if I lift up on this a little bit, it goes away. So this belt seems to be perfectly in that sweet spot where it's creating a little bit of a harmonic. So I don't really know if I should add tension or take it away. Another thing I think that might be part of my issue is the way I have this kind of configured. This tensioner wheel is a significant distance from the drive pulley, and I'm assuming that this is where most of the slack would show up, because it's pulling and it's pushing around here. So this would kind of typically be, I think, the slackest part of the belt right here before it gets up here. So I think a lot of these designs, this is kind of maybe, especially if you have this coil spring inside the tube, this is probably perched maybe back here a little bit, so the distance between here and the idler is not as great. Now I don't know if that would move the harmonic up here, or if it's simply because it's on this drive side here that it could be causing it. So what I did was, I wish I had like a fish scale or something like that, but I was just kind of looking for some sort of standardized tension way to tension it. So from this pulley here to center is 25 inches. So that's probably going to be, somewhat in the standard of most of them. The design up here might be a little different. And so between this pulley and this pulley, or the motor pulley, might be slightly different. But usually this return is going to be somewhere close. So and that's 25 inches. And so what I did is I just tried to find something that everybody could equate to. And so this is a 20-ounce bottle of Coke, and I filled it up with water. So I set it right here in the center of the belt. So halfway between this pulley and this pulley is 25, so it's roughly 12 and a half. I set it right here, and I just tried to measure the deflection. Now, obviously, it twists a little bit, so I kind of held it with my hand without putting much pressure on it. And it looks like I'm deflecting about 1/4 of an inch, maybe just ever so slightly less than 1/4, but I would call it 1/4 for all practical purposes. So from there to there is 1/4 inch. Now, I don't know if that's a way to essentially tell you how tight my belt is. I mean, I can thump it, and it feels fairly tight. I don't know how tight these are supposed to run. So maybe if I can get some guidance on that, because I don't really know if up here, if I'm too loose or too tight. And it seems like if I go either way, I can get rid of this harmonic. And that's probably a good thing. So I'll show you exactly kind of how it's happening. Hopefully you can hear me. So I'm going to turn this on. So now you can see it right here. I don't know, hopefully the camera can pick it up. You can see that wobble. Now if I go up to my tensioner here, and I'm just going to put a little more, take a little tension off first, it goes away. Now it's gone there. Now if I let off, see, it's okay for right now with no pressure on it, but then it will start to develop and it will pick up the harmonic again. Now if I raise, there it goes. Now it's vibrating again. Now if I pick up and put a little more tension on it, it also goes away. And so that's tension on it, that's the harmonic, and that's a little tension off. So I'm kind of right in the middle. And that's what I'm seeing right there is that vibration. And then that seems to transmit up here to a little bit of a wobble. And you can actually see it's wobbling on the tension idler too. And I think that's just because of this what's going on. It's funny, I can just put my finger on it just ever so slightly, and it goes away. So it's just a harmonic going on, and I just don't know whether to add tension or, see, that almost sounds like it's growling, like there's too much. Or maybe I could take a little tension away. I don't know if that will cause me to slip or not. And then I also don't know if maybe when I ordered my blaze belts from Norton, and they're coming today, I hope. So maybe those belts are a little different. They might be a little stiffer. They're ceramic. So before I do any changes or anything, I think I'm just going to try those belts. Maybe they're a different material. But obviously this is a belt I could use, you know, for fine polishing or whatever. So it would be nice to have this work. But this little tension up here is either too much or too little, and it's right in the sweet spot. And I think contributing factor is my ignorance in, you know, anything related to this. And so this is positioned somewhat forward of where it should be. I think if it was back here, this would be less. But now that might mean that it transfers up to here. But what's really bizarre is you would think that down here in this longest stretch of the belt, that would be where the vibration would happen, and it's not happening there. Of course, this is on the pull side of the drive wheel, so maybe that's good. And then this would be the first push, so maybe it's pushing here. And I didn't really notice this until I put the platen on, so I wondered if even that has some contributing factor, that maybe there's a little bit of drag as it goes across this platen here, and that was just enough, that drag, to cause the harmonic to show up, because it's really just right in the sweet spot. So any help, if anybody knows how to relay how this tension should be, I'm just not sure if it's too much now or not enough. There's just no real way to do it. So a 20-ounce bottle of water set right in the middle of this 25-inch wide belt deflects it about 1/4 of an inch down. And that is my tension at this point. And I just don't know if that's where that is in relation to how it should be. Thanks for any advice I can get. Appreciate it.